Well, I'm not sure if anyone's on, but I will do the stream anyway, and obviously people can watch it back later on. I guess when you wake up and you find out Tommy's been arrested, you know that your day is going to be a little bit different to a normal day, because obviously a lot of people are contacting people that know Tommy, trying to find out what's happening. So I've already done a video on Twitter talking about what I think's happening and what I think could happen, but I want to really do something a little bit different. I want to compare Tommy with two other men. One is the gentleman you can see on the screen there. I'll just give you a full screen view of it so you can see what's going on there. Gentleman called Raif Badawi. And this is the irony of what's happened to Tommy. Yesterday, Tommy met Raif Badawi's family. He supported them for a long, long time, and he finally got a chance to meet them because he'd managed to get into Canada. So as we know, yesterday, Tommy does an event with Ezra, and as he's leaving the event, the SWAT team arrive. And again, there's a certain amount of irony in this, because as far as I could see, Tommy is absolutely no threat to these gentlemen whatsoever. He's just done a live event. He's been speaking to people. You know, if you've ever been to any of these events, they're funny, they're lighthearted, but they're also dealing with very, very serious issues. And the SWAT team arrived. One of the things that really amused me is obviously there was one guy dressed as a lumberjack, looking like something out of a Monty Python sketch. Now, if you remember the song "I'm a Lumberjack and I'm Okay," you'll know what I'm talking about. Show me age there. But there's a lumberjack there who looks like he's just come in from the forest, from chopping trees down. He's about 7 feet tall. And then there's a guy who looks like he's just come out of CSI. He's got the bulletproof vest on, tooled up. You know, I mean, to be fair, they weren't that aggressive. They weren't like the pepper spraying thugs that assaulted Tommy when I was with him in November last year. But still, they were fairly boisterous in their handling of Tommy. And again, we've seen this so many times before. But I want you to think about this. Raif Badawi. And let's just look a little bit at Raif Badawi. Raif Badawi was jailed for insulting Islam. Now, there's a reason that there's a couple of reasons I'm talking about Raif Badawi. First of all, we're told that the new Saudi regime is this great egalitarian free society where the new crown prince he's doing away with all the extremism. He wants to protect freedoms. He wants to bring the Saudi regime out of the Stone Age. The question is, in that case, first of all, why was this man ever arrested in the first place? Obviously, it was 10 years ago, I think, when he was arrested, or maybe more. He hadn't seen his children as far. He hadn't seen his children for 10 years. He was 50 lashes for insulting Islam. Now, think about what our dear leaders, Keir Starmer and Sadiq Khan, are plotting. Going to bring in an Islamic blasphemy law in the UK. That's what's going on. And this is exactly what Raif Badawi was charged with. And I wonder, will they actually change the law in the UK so that you can get your 50 lashes as well as your 10-year prison sentence for insulting the religion of peace? We'll see. But Raif Badawi is not allowed to leave the Saudi regime. Tommy Robinson at the moment isn't allowed to leave Canada. He's had his passport taken off him. Now, to me, if they thought he'd infringed passport law, surely they would have just deported him and thrown him out of the country straight away. Would that not make sense? So Tommy yesterday spent the afternoon with Raif Badawi's wife and children. Seemed like absolutely fantastic people, very westernized, very polite, very nice people. And yet, literally hours later, he's dragged off by the Canadian Stasi and taken to a holding centre where he's questioned, and obviously he gets released. But now he's pretty much under house arrest in Calgary. But of course, what will happen with this? This will blow up to Tommy's advantage and to the movement's advantage as well. So we'll be in a situation where it's not a question of saying, well, this happens to Tommy all the time, isn't it? It's terrible. It's going to be a question where people are saying, actually, this makes our movement bigger and stronger. It makes Tommy It makes Tommy's name bigger and stronger. We've already got Jordan Peterson saying that he'll meet him, saying that he wants to do a live stream with him. Is this breaking up again? Is it, guys? Okay, audio's breaking. Do you know what, guys? I'm gonna end this stream. I'm gonna delete it, I think, because if it's breaking up, there's obviously something going on my StreamYard. Okay, guys, I apologize for that. I'm just going to end this, and I'm going to get rid of the film because there's no point in me putting stuff up there that you guys can't hear. I need to sort this out. I do apologize. I'm not gonna inflict this on you guys. If you can't hear it, there's no point in me doing it. Just let me know, guys. Let me know if this is that bad that you can't hear it. Okay, some people are saying it's fine. Okay. Right. Okay. Well, I'm gonna. Okay, I'll continue on. Okay, fine. I'll continue on. If you guys can hear it, I'll continue on. Maybe it was me moving about the chair. I'm not sure, but I do need to get this sorted out and find out why it's not working. Okay. What I'll do, in fact, I'll take away the other streams and see if that helps the issue, because you don't need to see the other streams. We can talk about basically what's happened without me showing you the other content. Okay. So let's just get rid of that and see if I can close some other bits and pieces down that might be causing a problem. And again, thanks for your patience. Sound is good. Okay, that's good to know. Right. Okay. Well, let's keep going. Okay. So so getting back to it. So Raif Badawi and Tommy Robinson have something in common, along with Julian Assange. Every single one of these guys has been jailed for journalism. Now, we are meant to be the free West. We're meant to be the bastions and the protectors of freedom of speech. And this happens time and time again, the dissident voices. And one of the sad things about this is, and I'm glad there are more people stepping forward. I'm glad that there's Maya Tusis. I'm glad there's Lawrence Foxes. I'm glad there's other people that are taking up the baton. I'm glad there's Paul Thorpe and other people coming through and starting to tell the truth. But your mic is messing about. You need to increase your upload speed. The upload speed's fine, guys. I mean, it's nothing to do with upload speed. I checked all that before I came on. I need you to give me thumbs up and let me know that you can hear this properly. It's okay right now. Okay. Well, I think it's more to do with other apps that are open on the actual system more than anything else. But anyway, getting back to Tommy, Julian Assange, Tommy Robinson, Raif Badawi, they all have exactly the same in common. They have all been jailed by authoritarian regimes. And of course, Canada is one of the most authoritarian regimes there is, under Jacinda Trudeau, as Mark Stein used to call her, him, she, him, or whatever he is. And the reality is they don't like people like Tommy coming in and saying things that don't fit the narrative. Now, hopefully there'll be a fair election in Canada and Justina Trudeau will be pushed from power and hopefully maybe dragged before the courts for treason or some other crime that he's committed while he was in power. But getting back to the Tommy situation and what we do about the Tommy situation, if Tommy is held, Castro, very good, Chris Castro's biological son. That Chris, that's another good point. What is happening, and this is something that, listen, it's going to happen in the UK. When the Labour Party have this mega majority, euthanasia will be rammed through. Starmer won't put it as Labour Party policy because he knows it's going to go horribly wrong. But what it'll do, it'll be put through as a private member's bill. No doubt some swine like Stella Creasy will try and ram it through. And it's the euthanasia, the idea of euthanasia is absolutely barbaric. When you think about what's been happening with people and the people that have been killed in Canada, the people that have been killed in the Netherlands and other parts of Europe. And why are these people dying? They're dying because they maybe have severe mental health issues, severe depression. Instead of getting treatment, instead of getting help, instead of getting God's help, they get a needle stuck in their arm that leads to them dying a slow and agonizing death. That's been happening in Canada. It's been happening in the continent. And if it's put on the statute book in the UK, it'll be exactly the same. So yes, well, you're not going to be able to stop AI. You can't stop AI, unfortunately. It's almost, well, certainly we can't. Little minions like us can't do anything about it. They'll keep them until after the 27th. Well, let's hope they don't. But I think what we do is, if they do keep him until the 27th, we make sure that that rally is bigger than it was going to be. And everybody that cares about freedom and justice and mercy gets to London. We're going to be in Trafalgar Square. We're going to have a mega sound system and speaker system. If they did hold him, then the reality is that we have to make such a noise. And I think we also probably go to the Canadian embassy as well. And in fact, that wouldn't be a bad idea, actually, having some demonstrations at the Canadian embassy if they do hold him. And also, if you're in Canada and you're watching this and they keep Tommy in, well, not keep him in, but they hold him and don't let him go home. Again, get on the streets, have street protests, have Free Tommy protests. We did it in the UK. And again, the authorities do not like masses of people protesting about this sort of stuff. So Julian Assange has been released after being held for years, which must have been cruel and inhuman treatment. I'm not a particular fan of Julian Assange. I think he definitely highlighted some atrocities that happened in Iraq without a shadow of a doubt. And of course, we all know that war in Iraq was an illegal invasion that Tony Blair and others cooked up to depose a dictator who was vile and disgusting, but they did it on a total false pretense. They lied about it. They said there was weapons of mass destruction when there weren't weapons of mass destruction. They deliberately spiced up the dossier. And then mysteriously, one of the men that spoke out against it suddenly disappeared and died, committed suicide, apparently. We'll wonder if that's what really happened. So there's a lot of questions to be asked about why Tommy has been treated like he's been treated. There's a lot of questions to be asked about the way our country is going. So my message is very simple. On the 27th of July, we absolutely must be in London. No matter what's happening, if Tommy is still being held, we must all go to London. Might we be in a situation where there's not the resources to have the massive sound system, etc., etc.? Quite possibly. But that event will take place, no matter what. And if the state think they're going to stop that event, and if they think they're going to stop this movement by arresting Tommy and harassing Tommy and making his life miserable, they're not. The movement will continue on, and the movement will continue to grow. We've seen massive growth. I've been, and I'm going to do it at the end of this feed. I put my websites into my different social media accounts, and I've had thousands of people have signed up with their email addresses to my websites, literally in a month. That's the amount of hunger there is. And I'm just a small guy. I'm not a big name or a big face. I'm a small guy doing what I can to help the country. And again, we're getting lots and lots of people supporting us and supporting what we're doing. The other thing I want to say, and I said it last night on a stream with Paul Thorpe, and I think it's an important point. Nigel Farage, I think you all know my opinions on Nigel Farage, and I've said to everyone, vote Reform in the next election. There is no other option. There's no point in voting for any other party. Vote Reform in the next election. But there needs to be a way to hold Nigel Farage and Reform to account, and that's part of the reason for a movement, so that we are not a political party. We're a movement. There's two separate things. So I would advise Farage to do his political party and do his politics. We'll do the movement. Thank you very much, Nigel. That's what we've been doing for the past 7 years, and that's what we'll continue to do. And we're not going to just hand everything over to you like we did with UKIP, because that was a big mistake. So we will continue to build a movement. And again, many of you that watch this channel know that we're working on a pledge. We've got an embryonic version of it up on a website. Read it if you like it. Sign up to it, because if we have 10 million people who are signed up to our core beliefs, we can then go to any political party and say, listen, this is what our people believe in, and this is what we want you to do. And they will have to listen. But in the meantime, there's going to be a lot more of this happening. When they pass this new legislation, this new hate speech legislation, which will ban the criticism of the ideologies and theology behind Islam, And not just that, it'll ban any criticism of what they class as Muslimness, and they call it racism. This will be in the new Racial Equality Act that the Labour Party are planning to slam through Parliament, along with other repressive legislation like conversion therapy, which will stop people trying to talk little kids out of mutilating themselves. And like I say, I believe we'll have the euthanasia situation happening as well. And no doubt it'll become a criminal offence to try and talk people out of killing themselves. So there are a lot of very, very serious things going to happen in the next few years. And what's happening to Tommy is always the lightning rod. And the lightning strikes Tommy, but the whole of the British patriot, well, just the British working class, feel those strikes. And I think we've got to be very, very aware that this is not going to end. They're going to keep going and going and going until they're trying to break him. They're trying to break Tommy. How can a man that has gone into a country to teach that country about what's happening in the UK, and then the government of that country do exactly the same thing to him? How do they think that's going to end well for them and make them look good? It's not. It's not going to do that at all. I'm just going to have a look at some of the comments here. Yeah, that's a very good point, Andrea. Sorry, wrong one. Where's that gone? Where's that comment on? There we go. No, that's not it. Sorry, it wasn't Andrea. Okay, that's a very good point. Islam and wokeism will be a pincer movement. That's exactly what's happening. That's exactly what's happening. And the reality of this is we're in a situation where we are about to get an extremely and if we can, I suppose we're in a situation now where we've got to try and get Farage to get as many seats as humanly possible. So can we actually push it over the line and get the Reform Party to get upwards of 150 seats? I know it sounds crazy, and all the polls are saying no, he's going to be lucky to get 3 or 4 seats. But can we push the boat out so much that in some of those marginal seats that we defeat Labour? The Conservatives are finished anyway, so there's no point even talking about them. We defeat Labour and the Liberal Dems, and that the Reform Party get through. When I say we, I'm not a member of the Reform Party, and I don't think I ever will be. Like I say, I think one of our jobs as a movement is to hold Reform and Nigel Farage to account. Because again, I'll be honest, I don't trust any politicians. I'm sorry, I really do not trust them. A lot of them will do anything, and I've seen this locally. They will do anything that they can to get elected. And even people that you have at one time put a great deal of faith in will do that. And I find that pretty appalling, to be honest with you. What's this about the High Commission? Oh yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, that's absolutely. Do you know what? Absolutely bang on. The High Commission of Canada. Yeah, if they hold Tommy, then the High Commission of Canada is just round the corner from Trafalgar Square. So all we need to do is turn around. My goodness. Yeah, that could have been a major miscalculation by the Canadians if they hold him, because that's what we'll do. We'll have a protest at the Canadian embassy. Totally. This is going to end because I'm going to expose all the truth that they're trying to hide. Please let me speak on the day I'll tell you my name. Okay. Politicians lie more than the police. That is absolutely true. That's absolutely true. I don't trust the polls. During Brexit, they forecast a landslide for the Remain voters. Yeah, it's possible. I believe we're looking at a hung parliament. Independence might be key. Well, that's possible as well. I mean, I think what I've learned from this. There's a few things I've learned from this. That they continually try and take Tommy out of the game, but this isn't just about Tommy. It's about the British people. He is one man. He's an extremely brave man. He's a man that we all respect. But he is one man. There's millions of us that need to stand up and do what he's doing. That's the truth of it. And what this should do, when we see what's happening and the way people are being arrested and silenced, We have got to stand up. And darker side, can't the elections be rigged? Elections can be rigged, but it takes if everybody turns out. And I'll give you an example. We were talking about it last night. The mayoral election in London, I think only 40% of people turned out for that election. So if that's the case, if there was a 70% turnout, it's a total game changer. It's a total game changer. And what is the Home Office doing about the abduction of a British subject? Absolutely, because that's really what's happened. It's well, the same Home Office, lobbied no doubt for his arrest in at the demonstration in November, where he was welcomed by all the normal people, and the elites decided they wanted to get him arrested and banged up. So I guess the message is this: we go to the demonstration on the 27th. If Tommy's back in the country, which hopefully, for goodness sake, they couldn't hold him for that long. But if they do hold him, amplification, social media has amplified Tommy's views, reaching global audience quickly. Yeah, exactly. And listen, this is going to be the next thing. They'll come for our social media. Believe you me, I'm convinced that there will be massive pressure put onto Twitter and Rumble and YouTube to delete everybody. I'm not on Rumble. Well, I've got an account, but I've never used it. I'm going to start using Rumble, but I think they'll come after all of it. We should cover the American embassy in syrup. David, no doubt you're talking about maple syrup. I've got a sweet tooth, but not that sweet. It would take a lot of sweetness to sweeten the Canadians, that's for sure, after the way their government's been behaving for the last little while. Let's have a look. What else we got here? Mobilization, it has been essential for most. Yeah, it has. It's been absolutely essential for getting people mobilized and getting people out on the streets. And that's what it's all about at the end of the day. We've got to get people to come to these demonstrations. We've got to get people registered to vote. We've got to Glenn, haven't seen you for ages, mate. I'll have to touch base with you if you're there on the 27th. Let's try and get a beer somewhere, mate. But yeah, it does make the movement stronger, and that's the reality of the situation. The more they attack Tommy, the more he gets stronger, and the more the movement gets stronger. And that's what it's all about at the end of the day. We've got to keep doing this. And look, it takes time. To do even what I do in my small way. Takes a massive amount of my time and my effort, and it's costly in all sorts of different ways. Has been for the past 7 years or whatever I've been doing this, and but we've got to do it. We can't just sit back and let this stuff happen. But again, I want to get back to Raif, Julian Assange, and Tommy, because in a way, every single one of them has been jailed for exactly the same thing, for speaking truth to the people and speaking truth to the people and bypassing the mainstream media. That's what WikiLeaks did. Remember, it was a website, used to publish all sorts of stuff. And again, at the time, I was like, oh, look at these guys, that because our lads were serving out in Iraq when all that happened. I was like, look at these guys, sort of, this is treacherous, this is wrong. But looking back on it now, WikiLeaks, my goodness, they were bang on the money. They were publishing stuff that was true. And yeah, I mean, there's some comments here. I'm not even going to give the time of day because I'm not going to put stuff up there that's attacking Tommy. Hope Tommy gets to watch. Yeah, do you know what? So do I, Paul. I really do. I mean, I'll be watching it tonight. I'll probably have a couple of beers. And the reality is, we've got to hope that our country gets back to what we call normality. Yeah, challenging authority by expressing often dissenting viewpoints. That's exactly what we've been doing. And that in England, people don't realize that in England, this is a tradition that goes back to the days of Wycliffe, when John Wycliffe stood against the corruptions and the authoritarian and totalitarianism of the Roman Catholic Church. And it went right the way through to the Reformation. Of course, people think the Reformation was just about Henry VIII. It wasn't. There was all sorts of It was a time of massive ferment, and some very brave men paid with their lives. Some very brave men went to prison for speaking the truth. And I think those days are going to come again. I think we're going to come to a point where telling truth becomes a revolutionary act. Telling the truth becomes a revolutionary act. And that's what we're up against. We're up against an authoritarian, totalitarian state that want to take my freedom away. They want to take your freedom away. They want to silence us. They don't want to give us the, they don't want to hit the thumbs up, guys. Yeah. Thanks again for that. Absolutely, Paul. We need to get as many people liking and subscribing to all these channels as we can. And not only that, not only liking and subscribing to the channels, we need people signing up to our website. So I'm going to drop the websites in here now, just so you can see them. So just bear with me 2 seconds. And it's about keeping us free. You know, Mark Stein used to say at the end of all his, I was going to say podcasts, the end of all his shows on GB News, he used to say, stay safe, stay free. And again, Stein was a victim of all this. You know, Stein was probably a victim of the, how do I pin this? Is that it? Let's see if that's up there. Yeah, so go to ukfreedommovement.org.uk and then you'll find the sign up page once you get on there. That please do log on to that and sign up. Also the pledge.org.uk, go to that as well and sign up to that. And like I say, we've got thousands of people signing up now, which is great, and in a very, very short period of time. Yeah, Andrea, that's a massive thing. What people don't realize is when this sort of thing happens, anybody that has got an ounce of decency in them will rally to the cause and will rally to the person who's been persecuted's aid. I mean, it looks disgusting. Though I'm sure those police officers, because look, not every single police officer is bad. They're put in a situation where they're getting paid to do what they do. I think that a lot of the guys that do that sort of stuff don't particularly want to do it, because a lot of them absolutely agree with us and believe in what we say, right? Hope not hate anything to do with this. I don't know, but the reality is the guy that runs Hope Not Hate, very, very unpleasant character, in my opinion. That guy hates Tommy, or appears to hate Tommy. He is, I mean, he must. Do you remember the old thing in the Pink Panther films where there was that guy that he was like Inspector Clouseau's boss, and he used to chop his finger off in the cigar trimmer, and he used to have all sorts of mishaps because he hated Clouseau so much. You know, even when he got locked up in the padded cell, all he could write on the walls of the padded cell was "Kill Clouseau." That's what the guy that runs Hope Not hates like. He just hates Tommy. And they take great pleasure in seeing Tommy's freedom potentially been taken away from him. What sort of person does that? What sort of scum takes pleasure in a man who's not violent, who's not committing any crimes, who's speaking the truth, which is something that these people should be doing, and yet those vile, disgusting creeps take great pleasure in laughing and mocking the idea of Tommy going to prison. How do they sleep in their beds at night? I really don't know. Okay, what do we got here? If there was an outstanding, yeah, well, this is the whole point. He spent this is the point about all this. Tommy spent 3 hours in passport control when he got into Canada. Did they not do these checks then? How come that never happened? Let's have a look at this. Tommy Robinson challenges on issues related. Yeah. Of course he does, all the time. That's what he does. Okay, Hope Not Hate are in it with Labour. Whoever would overthrow the liberty of a nation must begin by subduing the freeness of speech they're trying. But this is how serious this is. You know, no matter what you think of me, No matter what you think of any of us in our movement, no matter what you think of Tommy, even if you're left-leaning, right? This movement's not about left or right. It really isn't. I mean, well, it is to a certain extent, because obviously communism is absolutely terrible and very, very dangerous. But when it comes to moderate people, we are the center ground. We are actually the moderates. We are the ones that know right from wrong. And what's happening in the UK at the moment is it is creeping totalitarianism. And once this disgusting communist, Islamist, greenist, globalist, whatever other ists it is, Labour Party gets into power, we are going to have absolutely massive, massive problems. Nazi and communism. Well, you see, this is the thing about Nazism. What was Nazism? Nazism was National Socialism. It was called the German National Socialist Party, or the National Socialist Party of Germany. That's what it was. It was socialism with a nationalist twinge in it. And that's why we've got to be very, very dangerous. And again, if you look at the end results of Islamism, leads to ISIS. I'm not talking about all Muslims here, incidentally, but I'm talking about the ideology behind Islamism leads to the Taliban, leads to ISIS, leads to Hamas. And that's the people that we have standing for government in our country now. There are Islamists standing for government in our country in this election. Thanks for that, Chris. It's a good job there's someone there to keep me right. That's exactly what it was. National Socialist German Workers' Party. Exactly. And what have we got? We've got the George Galloway Workers' Party. You couldn't make this stuff up. You couldn't make this stuff up. Yeah, that was it. NSDAP. And remember, guys, the Nazi Party only ever polled at its maximum. The Nazi Party polled 10%. Sorry, I'm wrong. The Nazi Party polled 39%, and only 10% of the population were members of the Nazi Party. That was at its height, at its absolute highest. It was only 10%, 10% were ever members of the Nazi Party. So think about that, and think about the elites that are ruling us. Very small, but very powerful, and they've got it nailed down. The fact that they're banning taxi drivers from driving around with England flags during a tournament where England's playing is absolutely unbelievable. So look, what's this? Urban Scoops. The Urban Scoop set up a funny page for this. Yeah, so yeah, that's the other thing. Go to Urban Scoop. I'll just pop that up here as well. Go to Urban Scoop, and if you go to Urban Scoop, let's make sure I've got the right one. Yeah, okay, Urban Scoop. And if we can find yeah, there we go. So support Tommy. There we go. So it's on the page. We just drop this in the comments. Okay. Yeah, go to urbanscoop.news and please support Tommy, and give to his. I mean, when you think about it now, so he's fighting a legal battle in Canada. He's fighting a legal battle in England. He's trying to raise. It's going to be upwards of 50 grand to do the demo in Trafalgar Square, if all the screens and the stuff that is going to make it a really good event for everybody that's going. So, guys, this is a massive battle that we're in. This is a massive battle that we're in. Okay, we're not going to take it. If you're not going to take it, then this is the message to everybody that watches these streams. Be in London on the 27th of July. In fact, actually, let's just do it. If you're going to London and you're watching this, if you're planning to go to London on the 27th of July, just type yes and put it in the comments. Now, if you're planning to go to London, just flood these with yeses. Just say, yes, I'm going to London on the 27th of July. Because what we need 100,000 people in London on the 27th of July. It needs to be the biggest patriot demonstration. Brilliant. There we go. So people coming in straight away. It needs to be. Oh yes, that's another point, guys. Share these tweets. By the way, is that breaking up again now? Because the internet seems to have dropped off a little bit. Connection is unstable. If you're on Wi-Fi, try plugging into your router or moving closer to it. Okay. Yeah. So just keep sharing these, videos, keep letting people know that basically, you know, we're in this for the long haul. We're not gonna give up. Look at that. I've just asked how many people are going, and almost everybody on the stream that's watching this is saying yes. And again, if you can bring other people with you, don't just come on your own. Try and bring other people. Encourage other people to come. That's what we've got to do. We've got to make this event the biggest event that we've ever seen. Well, guys, I'm going to shoot off here. The reality is, if they hold Tommy, before I go, I'm going to say this. If they hold Tommy, what we've got to do, we've got to get in touch with the Canadian embassy, get in touch with our friends in Canada, mobilize people in Canada, start having protests outside the Canadian embassy, Canadian consulates in whatever part of England that you're actually, whatever part of the UK you're actually in, or Ireland. And we've got to make our voices heard to the Canadian government that they can't get away with holding Tommy. And if you're in Canada, start organizing protests now, and let's get it done. The younger generation don't realize what's happening. The old generation through change. I think the younger generation are waking up. I think the younger generation are waking up. So let's hope and pray that we do see more and more young people coming through. I was on a stream last night with a young lad, Christian Patriot, great lad. He's thought all this through. He's standing up for truth. And again, we need to encourage young people. We need to get them on our live streams. We need to get them to the demos, because they're going to be affected more than we are. If you're over 50, you've got like 20 years of good life if you're lucky. Do you know what I mean? So not that I want to be negative about that, but before things start dropping off and you start, getting wheeled into the knackers yard or into the euthanasia mills, which no doubt they're going to open for older people. But the reality is that younger people have been absolutely shafted by this situation that we're in, by the mass migration, by the house prices. House prices are ridiculous at the minute. How can a young person how can a young person ever get on the housing ladder and start a family and do what we all did when we were in our 20s and 30s, raise families and raise children? How can they do it? They can't afford to. They've been shafted by the establishment, by the elites that have continually brought in invaders into this country who care nothing for our values and care nothing for the rights of the people that have lived in this country for hundreds of years. So, okay, guys, I'm going to go. What's that one? 5 Met Police village have been involved in the betting scandal. Yeah, I mean, there you go. It says everything you need to know, doesn't it? It says everything that you need to know. Hawk News, thank you very much for that. I really, really appreciate that. I'll keep doing these videos. Like I say, it's obviously it takes quite a lot of time and quite a lot of effort to do these, especially when you do it unscripted and you just come on and start waffling. So again, guys, thanks for coming on and listening. And like I say, I've said this before, you are my community. This is my little community. The people that have subscribed to my channel, and I see the same names time and time again. What I'm going to do, again, I've been really busy. When I get the time, all the people who've given me their email addresses, I am going to send an email out to every single one of you from my sites so that we can keep in touch. I'm going to start trying to put some unique content together for people who've subscribed to the email list. So maybe stuff that we wouldn't get past the horrendous censorship of YouTube. We'll get some unique content up there, and I will start trying to send emails out. Initially, I'll just do it once a month because it's very difficult to do it when I'm working and got family and all the other commitments I've got to spend a lot of time creating the content. Because obviously, as well as that, we're trying to do different bits and pieces. We're all doing our little bits to organize the demo as well. So there's a lot going on. But yeah, we need Tommy back before then, well before then. He needs to be back for his, he's got family stuff going on that he needs to be back for as well. So he needs to be, what's this about the stream? Ty, for the stream, Richard, everyone be vigilant. So, yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Paranormal Channel. I do appreciate that. Yeah, we've got to be vigilant and we've got to realize what's going on in the world. Okay, guys, I am going to go now. Thanks for dropping out the stream. You know, we're all busy. We've all got a lot to do, but let's keep fighting the good fight and let's make sure that we stay on this and keep, you know, last week, I think it was last week or the week before, it was, they dropped the court case on him in the UK, and now they've arrested him in Canada. I just think it's absolutely, it is evil. It is evil what's going on. Keep the live streams coming, Richard. More. Yeah, well, listen, please, before I go, please like and subscribe to the channel. Please send your email address to UK Freedom Movement, because again, we're going to build that. We're going to build that into a big, big platform. And I can't do it without you guys subscribing and giving me your email addresses. So check out UK Freedom Movement. Get other people to check out the channels, and let's keep building this up. I think we're up to nearly 22,000. I think we're about 21,500 subs. November last year, we were under 10,000. So it's grown massively in the last 6 to 8 months. And again, it's interesting, as I've been doing Christian content, as I've been talking about things in depth, the channel has actually grown. And I believe, you know, and again, if you don't believe this, I'm not going to get into an argument with you, and I don't want people to think I'm trying to be preachy, but I do believe God's on our side, and I do believe that we will win, because I believe that good always triumphs over evil in the end. You know, we may go through some very JP, thanks very much. I really do appreciate that. Yeah, thanks Paranormal. Thanks Paranormal. And yes, okay guys, well look, I'm going to go, and thanks again for watching. Thanks again for your support, and let's build this community up, because I want to talk a lot more about that. When these things happen, we're all kind of, you know, we're a bit taken aback by everything, but we shouldn't, because we've seen it all before, and Tommy's seen it all before as well. But we absolutely need to build up what we're building and turn it into something amazing. And I believe there's at least 30 million people in the UK agree with us, because if 75% of the population think that migration is way too high, if 70 to 80% think that the woke agenda is wrong, and if 95% of the population think multiculturalism failed, then there's a lot of people in our country believe what we believe. Our country isn't represented by those tramps walking around with foreign flags chanting for genocide. Those scumbags do not represent me. They don't represent our country. They are the extremists, and we need to stand up against them. And we've got the numbers, and we need to do it while we've still got the numbers. And there's lots of things that need to be done in this country to make things right. But guys, yeah, let's keep fighting the good fight, as somebody said there. And I'll see you guys all soon. See you now. Thanks, Truthful Veteran. Got that, mate. Thank you.